You already know what time it is. It's your boy DJ RichieSkye back with some tea, interviews, recaps, and more. And be sure to check the links in the description of this video for trips, for books, one-on-one sessions, and more. Now let's get into the tea. Y'all, Cynthia is giving her take on the Kenya Moore situation that occurs with Brit in this coming week's episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. So I just thought it was interesting to kind of hear her take on it and then also see the response on social media to this interview. Now, let's take it over to what Cynthia had to say. Side note, if you are new here, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell button. Like this video if you like reality TV related content. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about this for quite some time. So last week we saw Brit mention that she had her pow-pows and her whips a couple of times on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. This was in response to an argument where Kenya Moore called her a peasant. This all seemed to stem from, maybe Brit sort of misreading Kenya or maybe reading her correctly. Who knows? But what we do know is that it didn't really seem like the punishment fit the crime, right? So based on their argument, I don't think that for me, I understood why Brit seemed to get so upset that she would go to mention the pow-pows and the whips, even in conversation with anyone after that small scale of an argument, right? I mean, Kenya Moore did shade her, but it didn't seem like it warranted that level of a response. Now, we know what Kenya Moore is going to do, or at least we think we know what they're going to show us, right? But we haven't seen the episode yet for ourselves. So I'm kind of trying to hold off on my full judgment about this situation until we see it. But we now have Cynthia Bailey's response to it. So when asked where her and Kenya are with this situation, this is on the Housewives Nightcap, this is what Cynthia had to say. And I'm going to play some of it, and then we're going to talk a little bit in between because that's the appropriate way for us to do the reaction here on this channel. So let's listen.
I have not spoken to Kenya since around the time that whole thing happened.
Okay, so let's take it back. That was almost a year ago at this point, right? So when we think about the level of friendship between Kenya and Cynthia and then them going this period of time without talking to each other, that's almost a year. Not to mention, Kenya and Cynthia kind of had a bit of a strained relationship ever since they did the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Season 1 together, where you guys may recall that, where Cynthia felt like Kenya Moore did not have her back with some of the rest of the ladies on the cast.
And, that's really kind of a sad situation for me because I was there to just support her salon. I'm so proud of her. I know how hard she's worked on it. And it's just, I was just so disappointed to see her.
Well, let's continue.
Her vision be overshadowed by what happened at the salon, which you guys will see. I felt like that.
This has kind of been my reoccurring thought as well, that moment for Kenya should have really been about the salon opening. We saw in last week's episode where she told Kelly that she spent about $400,000. And this was a conversation where she was speaking with Kelly about franchising, and Kelly was encouraging her to do so. And, Kenya Moore got so, we saw some real emotion there with regards to her fears about opening this salon. And I just felt like that scene was so good. And it really spoke to, I felt like, a level of vulnerability on her part, that she was asking one of the newbies for help. She was asking for advice. You really felt for her in that moment. So to know that that moment is coming up in the next episode, but it's going to be overshadowed by this it's heartbreaking.
Should have been the focus because, that was her life dream, building this hair care empire. And I just wish she had called me before, or like, you know, I definitely would have
Yeah.
like, this is your moment. This is like beautiful. The entire event was amazing, and it just ended on not such a great note. And
Every time I think about this incident, I think to myself, did anyone else know, right? Did anyone else know that Kenya was planning to do this in response to what had occurred with between her and Brittany, or Brit, excuse me, the week prior to, or at least in the previous episode for us? Because if it were me, like Cynthia, I would have said, no, don't do it, sis. Don't do it, friend. If I were a producer and I knew, I would have said, absolutely not. No, 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 no. I cannot, in good faith, let you do this, because it is going to be something that I don't think will work in your best interest for the showing of your salon. Now, some people may argue that, oh, well, how else was her event going to be? How else was she going to ensure it be shown if she doesn't create some type of moment so that we can ensure that the salon opening makes the cut? Because we had heard that there were some scenes that were cut from the previous season where we didn't get to see her salon. So I wonder if there's a little bit of that mixed up into this. How do I make sure this scene plays and my salon plays? But at the end of the day, I would have just, as a friend, as a producer, whoever may have seen it beforehand, hopefully, I mean, did anybody see it beforehand? Like, I would have been like, hey, go off on her, have security escort her out, whatever you choose to do. Just don't do this. That would have been my request. But let's continue on with what Cynthia had to say.
I let her know that, you know, because I just thought it was beneath her. You know, I hold my friends to a standard. You know, Kenya is a woman of class. I just felt like it was beneath her, and I was a little disappointed in how she responded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is the point of critique that a lot of people are giving to Cynthia at this moment online. I'm seeing a lot of people post about how they feel like they're disappointed in Cynthia because she is choosing to speak out about the situation, and it doesn't sound like she's necessarily in support of her friend. And, you know, there are people who feel like Cynthia is right to say what she is saying because that's how she truly feels. The difficulty in this situation is Cynthia is on a reality TV show and she's going to have to do interviews. With reality TV being the way that it is, it's a lot of it's based on opinion, right? And you have to give your true and authentic opinion. I have to respect that she's willing to give her opinion, whether it coincides with what the masses think or not, because I feel like that's what makes for really good reality TV is when people say what they say and they own they own how they feel. Whether we like it or we don't like it, I think that is to be commended, because for a lot of people nowadays, you know, they can feel the pressure from social media to sort of curtail their reactions and their responses based on the feedback that they may get as a result. And at least I can say with, you know, I'm excited that she is willing to stand 10 toes down in how she feels, regardless of what heat may come her way. Because that's not always an easy thing to do, especially not being a full-time housewife. But also, too, I have to wonder, what would her reaction have been the same had her and Kenya been in contact with each other during this period of time? What do you think? Let us know in the chat. And then how do you feel? Because some people feel like this is a hard no for me. If you're her friend, then you should support her and rock with her in public and just chastise her in private. What do you think? I also feel like Cynthia probably wants to make a stance about not necessarily Kenya, but what Kenya did. There could be a differentiation there. I don't know. You guys tell me how you feel.
I could see when I asked you about her that there's like a lot of hurt.
It's like my least favorite question because like this is someone that I do care about, and I have to respect her space. I have reached out. I reached out during that time, and you know, texted, I called, and you know, I respect if she needs a minute, and she.
Now we know that Cynthia at least has tried to reach out. She has tried to connect with Kenya, and it seems as though Kenya's not responsive. Now that could have to do with Kenya's feelings about Cynthia's in the moment response to what happened, especially if Cynthia told her in the moment, "Hey girl, this was not the look. You're better than this. This is beneath you. You know, I don't like this for you. I just don't like it." As you see here from the headline, it says, "I thought it was beneath her. I didn't like it." This is such a nuanced conversation to have, right? And I think it's interesting seeing Cynthia's response to it. Traditionally, Cynthia has been Team Kenya. So to see her take this stance, I don't know that this is a stance against Kenya as much as maybe it's a stance against Kenya's reaction. I see a couple of different comments here. Someone says, "Y'all used to people lying. You got to hold your friends to a standard. Cynthia ain't say nothing wrong." Someone else says, "Perfect response. It took away from her big moment." Another commenter says, "Cynthia should be disappointed in Bravo for not doing extensive background checks and who they hired to the network. All Kenya did was expose the truth and provided the receipts. It was all over the internet."
He knows that when she's ready to talk to me, I'll be right here.
Yeah.
After seeing this, will Kenya want to reach out to Cynthia? You know what I'm saying? Will she want to, will she feel those warm and fuzzies? It's interesting because, Candy has posted in support of Kenya, and we've seen Kenya on Candy's Amazon Live, which people are calling the baby speak on it right now. So if you happen to catch Candy on Amazon, she's always going to give you a little bit of tea. I try to catch them when I can because I want to hear what she has to say and her takes on some of the things that are happening because it tends to make the news, right? And Candy has been in the news quite a bit over the last couple of weeks, whether it has been in regards to, the winning that she is doing with Othello or the lawsuit with her restaurants and whether or not she's named in them or not, her other ventures that she has going on, or whether she's interviewing Shamia or what have you. It's just, Candy is still doing the things and she's still relevant in this space. So it's interesting to see two different takes on this situation from a former housewife and a not so former housewife who has returned to the fold.
I forgot that I was actually emotional in that scene. I was like watching it. I was like mortified, obviously, with the rest of the cast, and I just didn't like it.
Cynthia says that she was emotional watching this, play out. Again, I've tried to reserve my judgment about this upcoming issue or this upcoming drama because we've heard about it, and I feel like we heard so much about it last year, and it was probably easier to form an opinion at that point because it sounded so egregious. And then now seeing things play out, I kind of want to know more, and I really am interested in seeing how the network chooses to roll this out. And I'm interested in seeing Kenya's response to this. I'm interested in seeing the cast response to it because the cast response to this will also probably, in some way, shape, or form, if you want to objectively look at it, inform how the production company and how the network responded to it potentially, right? And then maybe we'll get an update as to why Kenya chose to go this route versus, in my estimation, if I felt like if I felt like this girl is, bringing up, pow pows and whips, and if I feel like my life is in danger, or if I feel like, who is this person? I'm probably going to be like, don't have this person around me. I need extra security. If you guys want me to film with this person, don't either have them around me until we have mitigated this situation or until y'all have done something. I'm not coming around. I'm not doing anything. I don't feel safe. Period. Did any of that happen behind the scenes? I have to think that it did. And then what was the production company and the network's response to it? I just have so many questions. So I don't want to say too much about how I feel about it. I just do think it's so unfortunate because I think that so many of us are rooting for Kenya Moore and this hair spa. It just feels like such a tragedy that we don't get to see it all blossom and come to fruition. And I really wish that she had maybe just had Brit escorted out, or had security escort her out. There's so much that she could have done. But again, I have to kind of wait to see how they roll this out. How are they gonna play this? Because that's also gonna be key as well. I'm interested. So anyway, I just thought I would bring this to you guys. Lots happening with me today. All is well, but it's been a morning. It's been a morning. All right. So with that being said, make sure you guys keep it locked onto the channel. I will catch you all in the next video.